once again, the Baltimore Ravens have a victory all lined up, and then the thing just kind of fizzles. We saw that against Miami. They had a 21-point lead in that game. They're dominating the Dolphins. Then they just fall apart in the fourth quarter, give up almost 300 yards, 250, 300 yards in the fourth quarter alone. And then taking on an excellent Buffalo Bills team, they got another 17-point lead here. 17-point lead against Buffalo. They blow that. John Harbaugh is answering analytics questions. And now you look at the Ravens, and I just don't recognize them. Like, the Ravens were never this kind of team for me. That was for somebody else. Somebody else down the neighbors down the street. They're going to be sloppy and messy, but not the Ravens. The Ravens have it all buttoned up, and they will always be fundamentally sound. What's going on with the Ravens, Jim?
Well, let me give you this first off. When we think of Ravens, the first thing at least I think of is defense, and I'm talking historically. So if you go from 1999 to 2020, or those 22 seasons, 18 times they ranked in the top 10 in total defense. Right now, today, they are last against the pass, and they are 30th overall. But even more concerning, Mike, is what's happening in the fourth quarter. And I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, so I may get my numbers wrong here.
Okay.
But I believe
let's help you. We got you.
Yeah,
We will give you some safety help over the top. Don't worry about it. Here we go.
And I need it because I had the numbers earlier. I don't have them in front of me. But if memory serves me right to some degree, they have been outscored. They've only scored 9 offensive fourth quarter points this year. And they have allowed 43 fourth quarter points this year on defense. So it is very tough, obviously, and I'm stating the obvious, to win when you can't close out in the fourth quarter. It's just that simple. And again, they have now at home played 2 home games. They have blown 3 possession leads in each of those 2 home games. That is so uncharacteristic of the Baltimore Ravens that for a moment there, I'm watching it like, who am I watching? Because I don't know this team.
Right.
You know, that's not the franchise I know.
Do you think that any big changes are coming? I mentioned to Michael Smith yesterday. Back in the day, the Ravens are sound, as I said, but they're not above adjustments. And when they won their last Super Bowl, they made a very important coaching switch. Cam Cameron out as offensive coordinator. They bring in Jim Caldwell. They go on a run. Joe Flacco's awesome in the postseason. He was Joe Montana-like in the postseason. Anquan Bolden helped too, because Flacco had a couple of those Jimmy Garoppolo throws, and Anquan Bolden was Deebo Samuel before we even knew the name Deebo Samuel. He'd snatch him out of the air and turn a disaster into a productive play. But I say all that to mention their defensive coordinator. It has, really the last three weeks, and one of those is a win. Win against the Patriots, loss against the Bills, loss against the Dolphins, and they give up over 1,200, 1,300 yards, more than that in 3 games.
Yeah, look, we know that Wink Martindale's no longer there, and there's a feeling that.
And why isn't he there? Was that a personality thing?
Well, I think in part, look, Wink wants to be a head coach, and I think there are some who thought that maybe there was more more attention being paid to that than actually to the defense at times last year. And so I just think that maybe John Harbaugh, the organization, felt it was time for a change. And that's well within his rights as the head coach and to feel like he needs to address his staff. But the problem is, okay, who are you going to bring in, and now how long will it take for this unit to mesh? The question I would have is the issue the coordinator and the play calling and the adjustments that are or are not being made, or is it the personnel that is on the field? And as I watch the Ravens now, I still believe the personnel is pretty good. And again, if you can dominate as they do early in games, and even to some degree into the third quarter, and then all of a sudden by the fourth, you're falling apart, then I think you have to start to look at the play calling that's going on and the adjustments that are not being made. Because again, that is not the Baltimore Ravens defense that we have come to know over the years. And I will say this to you, though. So there was a lot of conversation. I'm sure you guys had it yesterday about the decision to go for
Yeah.
the touchdown on 4th down. Being
Did
at
you
that
agree with it?
game, I did. From this standpoint, they weren't going to stop
Okay.
Buffalo defensively. They weren't. And John Harbaugh came out after and said he believes they would have stopped them. And I don't believe that he believes that in his heart. Or you take the points there and you go up. If that had been the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, you know, McCrary, that defense, Terrell Suggs, that Baltimore Ravens defense, I believe John Harbaugh would have kicked the field goal and said, if you can go down the field in the field goal range against our guys, then more power to you. You deserve to win. I don't think he feels that with this defense. This is just my opinion. He did not say that to me. It's just
No,
my
I
opinion.
get you. Yeah, Jim, I couldn't agree with you more. And that was my thought yesterday, where he's got to be all things to all people. I mean, head coach, look, it's not a bad life, pretty good pay, great visibility, 1 of 32 jobs, and it continues to pay even when you have been fired from the job. There's always a spot for a former head coach, especially one who's won a Super Bowl. But the downside of the job is just too many politics involved, too much politics. Look, what he wanted to say was, come on, y'all. My defense is not the defense that you're used to seeing. So I got to take everything I can get. Field goal's not going to be enough. I got to get a touchdown. But he couldn't. He got to do that dance for the media. He got to do that dance for the players, and on and on.
Because here's the thing,
Jim,
but he
hadn't
go
said
ahead, I'm
analytics.
sorry.
I
Right.
wish he hadn't said analytics. Does analytics support that, or does John Harbaugh support that? Just say, I thought it was the best deal. I wanted to do it. You don't have to say, put it under the analytics umbrella, because I'm not sure analytics says that you should do what you did.
Well, that's the world we live in today, where everyone, you're going to be second guessed, and they're going to throw numbers at you now because everybody's a stat geek. But here's my thing. If you watch that play, first let me backtrack. First, what I think he's saying is that he has more confidence in Lamar Jackson to make a play there than he does his defense to make a stop. That's number one. Number two, if you watch that play, it's an excellent play in terms of Devin Duvernay sitting there wide open, and Lamar was simply late getting the ball out. Now, Lamar said afterwards he saw his peripheral vision was bothered by defenders that were closing in, and maybe it was, but all I know is Devin Duvernay was there long enough to be able to make sandcastles if he wanted, and the ball was simply delivered late. And if it's not because Jordan Poyer, who had the interception, that was not his man. He's sitting in the middle of the field at the goalpost, and he peeked over and saw Devin Duvernay sitting there all alone, and so he took off in a mad sprint to get over and cover him because no one else was there. It just so happens the ball was late.
I see him. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very late. So, Jim, all right, if you look at this and a field goal or touchdown, what do you do? I'm still not sure both teams are done there. So here we go. Ravens, they can be explosive on offense. They score a touchdown there. Let's play in the world of make-believe. They go up 27-20. Buffalo's got 4 minutes to do some work with Josh Allen at quarterback. They scored just before the 2-minute warning. So now it's 27-27. You're like, we're making a big deal as if a touchdown would have sealed it. I'm not convinced of that at all. Based on what I've seen from this Ravens defense.
Hold on. It wasn't that a touchdown would seal it. What John Harbaugh said is that a touchdown would have, at worst, taken it to overtime if Buffalo scored. And that was part of the rationale for him going for it as well.
Yeah.
He knew he could lose if he had kicked a field goal there, and Buffalo goes down and scores a touchdown, as you say, in those 4+ minutes. But by getting a touchdown, he's saying at least we give ourselves an opportunity to go to overtime if they go down and score a touchdown. And again, that goes back to not having confidence in your defense to make that stop.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.